So today we're going to look at a video trying to convince us that atheism is a religion. It seems that religious people are so desperate now that they think they can just strawman our position.
Is atheism a religion? Let's not look at atheism from a superficial point of view, but let's go deep into this belief system.
How can you go deep? Atheism doesn't go into much detail into its position. The only real definition is that atheism is a lack of belief of God or gods. That leaves room for a wide variety of atheists to exist, but nonetheless I would like to hear what you have to say.
Yes, it is said that atheism is a lack of belief in gods or a god. But when you look deeply into atheism, and when you speak to atheists, you begin to see that atheism isn't just a lack of belief in gods, but there is more to it.
So you're going to redefine our position based on a hunch you get from talking to atheists. I'm sorry, but our position is for us to define. You don't get to define our stance for us. Similarly, I won't do the same for you.
You find that when you make comparisons between atheism and religion, that there are certain similarities. For example, in every religion, there are either gods or a god who is worshipped. And the atheist worships two kinds of gods.
Two gods, huh? We worship two gods? Well, then by definition, we wouldn't be atheist anymore. Unless you're going to name two things that we treat as gods. I'm going to try to guess what you're going to say. You're going to say scientists and mankind. Those are the two ones I've heard from before. But who knows, you might surprise me.
For the atheist, the first thing that they worship is the god of self.
Looks like I guessed one right. That's really stupid, you know. Nobody worships himself as God. What the fuck? What, you're claiming that there are people who are just like, well, look at that, I'm God, I can do whatever I want, and I have magical powers and shit. No, nobody does that. Well, I don't want to make an absolute claim here. I assume that what you're saying is since people don't believe in a deity that rules over them, they must think that they have no boundaries. And then from some magical religious logic, you somehow think that that's the same thing as worshipping themselves as God. That's ridiculous. If you honestly think atheists worship themselves as God, then you got another thing coming for you. See, religious people gather in churches and pray with candles and shit. Let me know when you see an atheist build a fucking church and light thousands of candles while kneeling before a picture of himself. Then we'll talk.
And secondly, the atheist worships the animals as gods.
What? Atheists worship animals? Are you kidding me? We believe animals are similar to us. Humans are animals after all. So generally, from what I see, atheists treat animals with more care. Does that mean we worship them? Absolutely not. There are plenty of other religions out there that actually do worship animals because they think they are sacred in some way. And you're here accusing atheists as animal worshippers?
In the mind of an atheist, the atheist at his core does not want to be morally or spiritually accountable to anyone, especially to God.
If you think atheists are atheists because they don't want to be responsible to God, then you are completely incorrect. We are atheists because we don't see sufficient evidence for your God, or any other religion for that matter. Being responsible is such a low-tier concern for us when it comes to our position of atheism. Bring us some scientific evidence. Bring us evidence that can be reproduced and falsified. Write your paper and change the world. Are you going to do any of those?
An atheist would like to commit adultery, fornication, or any kind of sin without the sense that there is a God who is not pleased with sin.
Yet another religious person claiming that atheists only disbelieve in God because they want to do bad things. You couldn't have possibly gotten this from talking to an atheist because literally no atheists would say that that's the reason they're an atheist. Look, we take responsibility of our own actions. When we do something bad, we have to acknowledge it and fix it in the real world, unlike certain religious people who instead thinks that one prayer to God can fix the problem. If you make a mistake or do something bad, fix it here where it matters. That person you hurt, go apologize and make it right. If you think asking an imaginary friend for forgiveness is enough without taking responsibility of the consequences of your action, then that makes you a bad person. I could easily twist your statement around and use it against you. For example, people who are religious are only religious because they don't want to deal with the real-life consequences of their actions and instead would rather just do one prayer to wash away their evil deeds. Now, of course, I don't think that's true, but neither is your statement, so drop this stupid argument already.
And so ultimately, the atheist exalts self above God. And so in the life of the atheist is the God.
Okay, even if everything you said were true and atheists are only atheists because they want to do bad things, why would that mean that they are worshipping themselves as God? That's a huge leap to make, and I would like some explanation on your part.
I've often asked atheists this question as a test. If you were given the evidence that you need as proof that God exists, then would you submit and worship God?
I don't think there'll ever be a stage in which the Christian God specifically will be proven to be true, but let's say that it has been proven. In that case, this would honestly be a tricky question for me. On one hand, God is pretty evil himself from what I get from the Bible. His morals are completely fucked up and he does some really stupid shit. So judging by that, I wouldn't want to worship him, but I might consider worshipping him if I ever decide that my pride is a worthy sacrifice to avoid all eternity in hell. But the answer to this question doesn't actually matter. Whether or not we worship him, we will believe his existence if sufficient evidence is provided. This in itself shows that we atheists choose not to believe in God because of the lack of evidence, not because we want to do evil things without consequences.
And very often, most atheists would refuse to worship God, even if given the evidence.
Right, but like I said earlier, we would still acknowledge the existence of God if sufficient evidence were provided. That's the real part you should be looking at, not whether or not we'd worship him.
So atheism isn't so much about the lack of belief in God or gods, but atheism is really the suppression of the existence of God.
If we decided not to worship God but still believe in his existence, that by definition wouldn't make us atheists anymore. I know what you're trying to say, but you're completely forgetting the fact that you can still believe in a God without worshiping him.
Romans 1 verse 21 to 23 says, "For though they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him."
Skip.
This brings us to the other gods that atheists worship. They worship the animals, as stated in Romans 1 verse 23. Most religions have people who worship God or gods whom they believe to be the source of life and the reason for their human existence.
Using the Bible to claim what atheists think? Literally no atheists worship animals, and even if they do, which they don't, it wouldn't be because animals are the source of life. That's so fucking vague, and I could name plenty of other things that would fit the definition source of life better, like Professor Stick's YouTube channel. Subscribe.
For example, in Christianity, we believe that the source of life, the source of our human existence, is through the hands of the God of the Bible.
Yep, we know what your position is, and we're not going to redefine it for you, so please don't do that for us.
Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 says, "So God created man in his own image."
Skip again.
However, with atheism, the source of human existence is not God, but according to atheists, the source of human existence are the other animals, with the theory of evolution being the main doctrine.
Not really. First of all, you can be an atheist without believing anything science tells us, so you can be an atheist and deny evolution. Evolution isn't something that defines atheism. Second of all, evolution only says that life changes over time. It doesn't say what the origin of life is. As a result, it doesn't actually imply that animals are the quote-unquote source of life. And I'm still having trouble seeing how you jump from one premise to the next. It's like you're making conclusions just because you can, and not from any sort of logic or reasoning. How does the acknowledgement of evolution lead people to worship animals?
And this is another reason why atheism is a religion.
Like I said, you don't have to trust anything science tells us to be an atheist. The term atheism doesn't tell us anything about the person's belief other than that he doesn't believe in a god or gods. Someone can believe in the tooth fairy and still be an atheist. Just from the one word atheist, you can't say what the person believes in, so it's not a religion, just like how off isn't a TV channel.
Most religions have a set of beliefs. Most religions have a doctrine about life and the origin of life, for which it takes faith to believe in that doctrine.
You said most religions, so according to you, what about the religions that don't make the cut? Are they not religions? If you can't say confidently that all religions fit into that category, then you can't say that atheism, which isn't a religion, falls into that category. In addition, atheism doesn't include anything of what you just said. I don't know why you're trying so hard to define our position for us, but it doesn't do you any good.
The truth is, evolution cannot be proved. There is no observable evidence for evolution.
Okay, that's a completely separate topic and I'm not down to talk about it in this video, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching and for being loyal viewers. I'll see you in the next video.